Good evening to our viewers watching on television and those joining us online across our social media platforms. I am Adana Doric with the Wednesday, April 1 edition of the Guyana TV9 News. In the headlines tonight, President Ali charges youth to forge leadership at Caribbean Adventist Camp Pori. Firefighters under probe over alleged laptop theft from fire site. Digital Identity Card Act officially activated. PM issues commencement order. Attorney General Nandlal slams callous littering, demands shared accountability for flood crisis, and dozens displaced after major Albertton fire. Now for the news in depth. President Irfan Ali challenged thousands of young scouts at the 7-day Adventist Caribbean Union Conference Camp Pori to transform their gathering into a defining space for building the character and leadership needed to lead the region. Here is more. Speaking to a regional audience of church leaders, youth, and international delegates, the head of state stressed that the camp is far more than a recreational event, describing it as a foundation for shaping the next generation of principled leaders.
Young people, let this couple days and let this camp be the land that will produce the next Timothy, youth leader who will lead by example. That is what this camp will do. Produce the Timothys of tomorrow, the Timothys who will lead by example. This is the ground that will produce the Joseph of tomorrow. Young men and women of integrity. Young men and women who will save their families, who will provide leadership for their families.
He encouraged participants to model their lives after biblical figures such as Joseph, David, Esther, and Jeremiah, while embracing courage and responsibility within their communities. President Ali also underscored the enduring legacy of the Adventist faith in Guyana and the wider Caribbean, noting its roots date back to 1887 and its continued role in promoting discipline, service, and spiritual growth.
This church did not come about yesterday or the day before yesterday. So I'm pleased tonight to just give you a historical flavor of what we are celebrating today and what we are nurturing here today to ensure that this church, built on the foundation of faith, values, and principles, will withstand the storms of tomorrow and continue to stand strong in this land and all across the Caribbean.
More than 4,000 pathfinders and master guides from across the Caribbean are participating in the Camp Pori currently on the way at Lou Creek along the Linden Sioux Dyke Highway. Adana Dorek, Guyana TV9 News. Guyana's meteoric rise is moving beyond the oil rigs. While offshore well fuels the engines, the government is betting its future on a more vital resource: its people. According to World Bank and government officials, human capital has shifted from a byproduct of growth to a very pillar holding it up. More in this report.
Even as the country enjoys one of the fastest growing economies in the world, policymakers are keenly aware that oil wealth alone cannot guarantee sustained prosperity. Instead, both officials stress that the real value lies in equipping Guyanese citizens with the education, skills, and opportunities needed to thrive in a rapidly evolving global economy.
When you have an economy that gets significant revenues from the oil, is investing in human capital, is investing in its people, because frankly, the biggest asset that the country has, even with the oil, is its people, it's its human capital.
Bernchuk underscored that globally, countries that climb the income ladder do so by strengthening their human capital. She noted that even in resource-rich nations, the contribution of human capital often surpasses that of natural resources, making investments in education and skills not just important, but essential. The government has moved aggressively in this direction, positioning the World Bank as its lead partner in human capital development. Minister Singh explained that this direction reflects both the urgency of the moment and the scale of transformation underway, with new industries and job categories emerging across the country. Central to this effort is a sweeping overhaul of the education system. Investments are being made not only to expand access to schools across the country, but also to improve the quality of education through teacher training, curriculum modernization, and the integration of technology into classrooms.
The most important investment that we can possibly make is the investment in our people, and in particular in their education and skills, building up the skills base. And then secondly, because the World Bank does have a comparative advantage on this, this is a thematic area that the World Bank has been working on around the world and has built up a lot of in-house subject matter expertise on that we felt we would like to take advantage of.
A strong emphasis is also being placed on preparing the workforce for the future. With global shifts driven by artificial intelligence, big data, and digital technologies, Guyana is prioritizing digital skills and technical training to ensure its workforce remains competitive and adaptable. At the tertiary level, reforms are already taking shape. Expanded medical education, including new facilities and the use of technology to reach students in remote regions, reflect a broader push to decentralize and modernize higher education, ensuring that opportunities are accessible beyond traditional urban centers. Ultimately, the vision is clear: to ensure that every Guyanese citizen is equipped to benefit from the country's economic boom. By aligning education and skills training with the demands of a changing economy, Guyana is seeking to transform its population into the primary driver of sustainable and inclusive growth. Melanie Morris, Guyana TV9 News.
Fire Chief Gregory Wickham says 2 officers from the Guyana Fire Service are under investigation after a laptop was allegedly stolen from a fire-damaged home near Quamina Guest House. He noted that the police are handling the investigation while the fire service conducts its own internal review. The officers are not currently detained but remain accessible to investigators, and disciplinary action will be taken if any wrongdoing is confirmed. The laptop has since been recovered and returned to its owner. We will be back after the short break. Stay tuned.
GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2026, and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. How to apply for registration? You must visit the GCOM registration office that is responsible for your area of residence to apply for registration, name change, or correction. You must have the following source documents as might be relevant: original birth certificate or valid Guyana passport for new registration, original marriage certificate and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by marriage, original deed poll and original birth certificate in the case of a name change by deed poll, original naturalization certificate and original birth certificate or valid passport in the case of naturalization. This registration exercise will end on May 29, 2026. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at a different address than the one you were registered at. For more information, contact GCOM on 225-02-7729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy. GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2026, and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. It is the civic duty and legal responsibility of all Guyanese who meet the eligibility criteria to apply for registration. By so doing, you will be ensuring that you are issued a national identification card and be included in the official list of electors for future elections, provided you meet all eligibility criteria. This registration exercise will end on May 29, 2026. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at a different address than the one you were registered at. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-02-7729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy. GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. Who can register? Anyone who will be 14 years or older by June 30, 2026, and is a Guyanese citizen by birth, descent, naturalization, or is a citizen from a Commonwealth country living in Guyana for 1 year or more. Persons eligible for registration must visit the GCOM registration office responsible for their area of residence to apply. Persons who are already registered could apply for a name change if they have changed their names since they were registered, apply for corrections if there is incorrect information on their national ID cards. Persons who are desirous of conducting any of the above transactions must provide the relevant supporting documents. Persons who are already registered must collect their new ID cards if they have not yet done so. This registration exercise will end on May 29, 2026. You need to apply for a transfer if you now live at a different address than the one you were registered at. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy. GCOM is currently conducting a national registration exercise. If you have moved to a new address since you were registered, you are required to update your address by applying for a transfer to ensure your address is accurate. Where to apply for a transfer? Visit the GCOM registration office responsible for your area of residence to apply for a transfer. When to apply for a transfer? You can apply to have your address updated during this national registration exercise. This registration exercise will end on May 29, 2026. The office hours for GCOM are: permanent registration offices open Monday to Thursdays from 8 to 12 hours and 13 to 16 hours 30, and on Fridays from 8 to 12 hours and 13 to 15 hours 30. The offices will be closed on weekends and holidays. For more information, contact the GCOM on 225-027729 or visit www.gcom.org.gy.
Welcome back. You're watching the Guyana TV9 News Bulletin. Prime Minister Brigadier Retired Mark Phillips has activated the Digital Identity Card Act, signaling the official start of a nationwide rollout for Guyana's new electronic ID system following a formal commencement order. More in this report.
Describing the development as a turning point in governance, Phillips said the initiative represents a major step forward in modernizing how citizens interact with government systems and access public services. He noted that key provisions required under the Act have already been satisfied, clearing the path for the rollout of the National Digital Identification System. Among these are the appointment of a Data Protection Commissioner, the creation of a secure national database to store citizens' information, and the establishment of systems to produce and distribute digital ID cards. The Prime Minister explained that the initial registration phase will be streamlined, relying largely on data already submitted to state agencies.
The foundational requirements outlined in the Act have now been achieved. This includes the appointment of a Data Protection Commissioner, the implementation of a secure system and database for the capture and storage of your information, and the establishment of a robust system to produce and issue your digital ID cards.
Phillips also underscored the government's commitment to safeguarding personal information, noting that stronger privacy protections will come into effect once the Data Protection Act is fully operational. At that stage, the state may seek additional sensitive data on the enhanced legal framework.
For the avoidance of doubt, the information you're required to provide to the registry is data you have already provided to other state authorities in the past. This approach requires submission of data with which you are already familiar. Your privacy remains our absolute priority.
He further revealed that infrastructure to support the rollout is already in place, including registry offices in several regions, such as Region 2, where citizens can begin the application process. The introduction of digital IDs is expected to significantly improve efficiency in public service delivery, making access to government services more seamless for citizens nationwide.
Guyana has officially greenlit a $30,000 fine for tint violations, with Attorney General Anel Nandlal declaring that a modernized enforcement system is now fully operational across the country. More in this report.
The revised rules introduced under the Motor Vehicles and Road Traffic Act allow for slightly darker tints within clearly defined limits, while removing the need for exemptions once vehicles comply with approved standards. Under the new framework, no tint is permitted on the front windscreen except for a visor strip, while front side windows must allow at least 25% visible light transmission, VLT. Rear windows are permitted a slightly darker threshold at 20% VLT. Explaining the changes, Attorney Nandlal noted that compliance now removes the burden of applying a special permission.
We have increased the darks. Let me not use it because using the language doesn't help the situation. So we have increased the darkness of the tint so that vehicles come with manufacturer's tints. And we have used the manufacturer's tints across the board. And essentially, the regulations say that once you have those manufacturer's tint, you don't need permission.
He made it clear, however, that exemptions have not been abolished entirely. Instead, they are now restricted to specific groups such as government officials, emergency responders, diplomats, medically certified individuals, and certain high-risk businesses. Applicants seeking to operate outside the legal limits must still go through a formal approval process.
The two front side windows, 25% visible light transmission. The two front windows. The two back windows and the back windscreen is darker, is 20%. All right? 20%. Once you fall in that category, or those categories, then you don't need any tint exemption.
The Attorney General also cautioned that any driver found outside the permitted tint levels without approval will be in breach of the law.
Outside of what I have said, if you have a tint that is darker than that which is permitted, you shall be liable for an offense and fined $30,000. So if you don't fall into any of these categories, and you don't only have to fall into these categories, you have to make an application in writing to the minister and secure from the minister an exemption. Unless you do that and you breach any of the percentile I have disclosed or are in the regulations, you would be committing a criminal offense and charge $30,000.
The updated regulations, gazetted on January 1, 2026, are intended to simplify compliance while maintaining strict enforcement standards on the nation's roads.
We will be back after this short break. Stay tuned.
Want to place your death announcements and in memoriam messages on Channel 9? Call 592-761-5006, 710-5008, 600-5006. Or visit our office at Lot 85A Lamaha Street, Albertton, Georgetown, Century 21 Building.
Guyana Channel 9 is now Guy TV9, proudly under new management. We're building stronger with a balanced and open platform for all advertisers. Whether you're promoting a business, service, or event, your message belongs right here. So choose your spot, news, prime time, or anytime, and reach viewers across Guyana. With affordable rates and professional service, Guy TV9 is your partner in progress. So visit us at Lot 21A, Lamaha Street, Georgetown, in the Century 21 building, or call 600-5006 or 761-5006. Guyana TV9. New leadership, fresh outlook, real results.
A massive fire Tuesday evening destroyed a building on 5th Street, Albertton, leaving dozens of residents homeless, including Guyanese and foreign nationals. Authorities say the blaze spread rapidly, engulfing the structure within minutes, though firefighters managed to contain it before it reached nearby properties. Fire Chief Gregory Wickham said multiple units responded and were able to bring their situation under control, preventing further damage. Residents escaped safely, but many lost all their belongings, with some recounting how they fled through smoke and flames with little warning. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. The Civil Defense Commission (CDC) is warning of continued heavy rainfall across Guyana from Wednesday to Friday, with an increased risk of flooding in low-lying and flood-prone areas due to already saturated conditions. Residents are urged to remain cautious, avoid flooded areas, and take necessary precautions as intermittent showers and possible thunderstorms are expected during the period. Warning of a decline in civic pride, Attorney General Anel Nanlal says the fight against coastal flooding cannot be won by the government alone if residents continue to clog vital waterways with rubbish and illegal construction. Here's more. Nanlal acknowledged that central and local authorities, including neighborhood democratic councils, NDCs, and the National Drainage and Irrigation Authority, share some blame for the overflowing drains. But he said much of the problem stems from residents themselves. During visit to affected areas, Nanlal saw bridges built in drains and other structures obstructing waterways. He also pointed to large amounts of rubbish bottles, boxes, and other debris clogging canals, especially along the east coast.
Not our government's intention to not accept responsibility when responsibility devolves upon the government. And therefore, central government, the regional authorities, and neighborhood democratic councils and other agencies of state such as the Drainage and Irrigation Authority must accept responsibility.
He expressed concern over a decline in civic responsibility compared with previous generations, when residents routinely maintain drains in front of their properties to prevent flooding. While reiterating that government agencies must improve drainage management, Minister Nanlal urged citizens to take environmental responsibility seriously.
People have a responsibility to keep their environment clean. When I was in primary school, they used to have posters on the wall that said, cleanliness is next to godliness.
TV9 News. Turning to regional news, a central town in Haiti has been plunged into violence after heavily armed gangs launched a deadly attack, leaving multiple people dead and homes destroyed. The assault, carried out by the powerful Grand Griffe gang, targeted a vigilante group, marking another escalation in the country's deepening security crisis. The incident underscores Haiti's worsening instability, where gang control continues to expand and civilians are increasingly caught in a crossfire. With communities forming their own armed-resistant groups, the cycle of violence has intensified, raising fresh concerns about regional security and the urgent need for international intervention. Internationally, in India, the central government will now ban made-in-China CCTV cameras and hardware from April 1 over national security concerns affecting firms like Hikvision and Dwaha. The move disrupts the Chinese-dominated surveillance market, mandates STQC certifications for all CCTV products, and create opportunities for domestic manufacturers in India's fast-growing security sector. Those are our major headlines for tonight's newscast. For more trending stories, follow us at our TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube platforms at GYTV9. I'm Adana Dark. Thanks for watching.